Okay, I'm seeing the political priorities of the Breaking Points audience sort of laid out before me, like a big heaping Christmas platter. I'm seeing big business pushes child labor in Iowa, 16,000 views. And also, new UFO video revealed in congressional hearing, 92,000 views. The economic populism is, oh God, they care about the RFK Jr. stuff? That's what has the most views? Oh God, no, 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 no. Yeah, you can always tell. You can always tell. No. 16K views with child labor. Okay.
Something that's unfolding in Iowa is part of actually kind of a trend of rolling back child labor law regulations. And I think Iowa is the state that has now passed the most aggressive rollback of child labor regulation. Let's put this up on the screen more.
Guys, I'm pretty sure they're both going to be against the child labor. Like, Crystal is, whatever disagreements I might have with her, I'm pretty sure legitimately economically populist. I have never heard Crystal say anything pro-corporate. And Saagar has to pretend to be because it's like the only tenuous claim he has towards not being like the open fascist that he actually is.
More Perfect Union did a deep dive into this, including a video that I recommend you all check out, which tracks the roots of where this rollback came from. And surprise, surprise, there's a lot of business interests, including the national.
Yeah, all the comments are agreeing with being anti-child labor laws.
A restaurant association, a lot of locally powerful business interests in the state as well. So they say, breaking, the Iowa Senate passed a child labor law before dawn today. The bill lets 14-year-olds work 6-hour night shifts.
Cool.
15-year-olds work on assembly lines, and 16 and 17-year-olds serve alcohol. The Senate went through the night and voted on child labor at 4:52 a.m. I think it's important to note a couple of things here. So first of all,
so, of course, remember that there are people who need work. This is literally just because businesses don't want to pay a living wage. Businesses are reporting record profits, and they don't want to pay living wages, so they want teenagers because teenagers are already being subsidized by the income of their parents, and therefore don't need higher wages, and they can be paid for less. That's literally it. It's that evil. It's no different than it was 110 years ago. It's the exact same. They are consciously, willingly saying, you know, we will keep these adults unemployed. We will underpay these children. Also, we can be more multimillionaire than the multimillionaires we already would be. That's it. That's it. This is the interests of all of society, all of human society in America being dictated by the economic interests of an incredibly small minority of minority of minority. We're not even talking about the 1% here, by the way. We're talking about like the corporatocracy and the shareholders. I mean, we're talking about like 0.01%, or maybe even less. Like it's such an insanely small proportion of the population. Yeah, less than 0.01, like probably 0.001 or just some tiny.
Because you have a relatively tight labor market, that's why all of these business interests have suddenly become like obsessively focused in rolling back child labor protections so that they can keep paying the low wages they've become accustomed to paying and not increase wages whatsoever to, you know, try to attract actual adults who should be working in some of these very dangerous jobs, right? It's also important to note Iowa's minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour.
Yes.
So if you can't attract the workers you need for your business.
Corporate profits in the non-financial sector hit a record high of 2.08 trillion. Oh, this is in November 30, 2022. Oh, because that was at the apex of the inflation crisis. Yeah. Because, like, a huge portion of the inflation crisis was literally just corporations going, oh, we can just raise our prices. We can just do that for funsies.
Without hiring a 14-year-old to work the overnight shift, maybe you should try increasing your wages and see what happens then. Child labor law violations have been up 37% since the pandemic. So even without these rollbacks, companies are taking upon themselves to violate child labor law or look the other way at the very least. And so there's been a huge spike in companies getting caught employing kids, including migrant kids, by the way, and like exploiting the fact that they're in a vulnerable situation. There's a big New York Times expose about that. So it's a very disturbing direction that these states are going in, something that honestly, I mean, it's sort of shocking to see how far they're willing to go. And listen, I had summer jobs when I was 15 years old as well, you know, but they weren't working in like a meat packing plant, cleaning bone saws or an assembly line or construction sites. That's another thing they want to open up to younger and younger kids, was like lifeguarding and working at a like little fish and tackle store. Right, exactly.
Lifeguarding. God, can you imagine? Can you imagine drowning and like a fucking 14-year-old dives in to save you? Jesus.
That was the sort of thing that I was doing over the summer when I was 15 years old, not like working in a meat packing plant, which no 14 or 15-year-old has a business doing.
Yeah, I think we could parse it and say that like if it involves dangerous work, specifically overnight, then I don't think that that's really anything that we should support.
No.
But the one, you know, you and I were talking about this yesterday, like 16 and 17-year-olds serving alcohol, it's like whatever. You know, especially the bill even says, it says that they could do it with written permission of a parent or guardian. That's good work in many cases, like especially if you're, most of the time you wouldn't even be serving as a bartender, I'm assuming. You'd be serving as like a bar back and then participate.
Okay, he's going to do the apologia thing. Well, okay, the literal only reason that children work jobs when they're in high school is because of economic desperation. The only humane, economically populist answer to this is the parents need higher wages, okay? Children should be focused on developing social skills and learning in school, not like working at some shit dead-end job that they'll have to then go on to spend the rest of their life doing anyway, statistically speaking. Yeah, it's ridiculous, the expectation that like kids should have to work under those conditions, you know? If this was like them helping out in the farm shit, like if there's like a family business where I'm not totally against kids working. I think there are some circumstances where it can be okay. I don't think it's like harmful to a child for them to do stuff for financial compensation, like working at a mom and pop store, or whatever else like that. But let's not delude ourselves here, okay? These are laws to like pack children into dangerous or underpaid jobs so that they don't have to properly pay adults. This is not some like wholesome, epic, big chungus, formative experience for them.
Participating in pool tips. So, you know, the wages and the money you can even get from that would actually be kind of decent. And I do think that should probably be available to 16 and 17-year-olds. But I think the issue is that the animus behind the bill is about trying to circumvent wages for adults.
Correct.
And that's the problem, which is that they're basically trying to do a backdoor way to pay people even less and open up.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Like I thought, there's not much here. What's the UFO thing?
All right, let's talk about UFOs.
Sure.
Big hearing that happened yesterday and led mostly by Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. I have many critiques of Gillibrand, but on the UFO issue, she does genuinely seem to be passionate about it. She's been calling hearings. She's been very involved. And a lot of people in the community feel as if she's actually trying to get to the bottom of this. I hear the same thing about Senator Rubio and a few other members of Congress who do seem, again, to actually want to get to the bottom. Now, there was some interesting testimony from the head of the new AARO office. I'll tell you what that means afterwards, but here's the main takeaway in terms of what they want us to know. A little bit of a dual message around possible alien activity. Here's what he had to say.
Oh my God.
AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. For those few cases that have leaked to the public previously and subsequently commented on by the U.S. government, I encourage those who hold alternative theories or views to submit your research to credible peer-reviewed scientific journals. AARO is working very hard to do the same. That is how science works, not by blog or social media. AARO is developing and implementing its science plan. It has to do so grounded in a solid foundation of scientific theory across the entire range of hypotheses that have been presented for what UAP are. That range spans adversary breakthrough technology on one hand, known objects and phenomena in the middle, all the way to the extreme theories of extraterrestrials.
So what
that was nothing. What's their spin on it? What is that? Okay.
What did we learn from that? What I thought was interesting is at the very beginning, he's like, we have no evidence, extraterrestrial activity, defy the laws of physics. And then a second thing, he's like, well, part of our hypothesis is that it could be extraterrestrial. It's one of those where
on one hand, known objects and phenomena in the middle, higher range of hypotheses that have been presented for what UAP are. That range spans adversary breakthrough technology on one hand, known objects and phenomena in the middle, all the way to the extreme theories of extraterrestrials.
He was just saying there were a range of hypotheses to explain it, like a wide range. And it's like, yeah, you know, here's a bunch of things. There are people who are saying it's aliens. That's not him saying there's evidence that there's aliens.
So what did we learn from that? What I thought was interesting is at the very beginning, he's like, we have no evidence, extraterrestrial activity, defy the laws of physics. And then the second thing, he's like, well, part of our hypothesis is that it could be extraterrestrial.
No, he said one of the possible hypotheses is that. I mean, that's a viable thing to entertain as a hypothesis. That doesn't mean there's evidence for it.
One of those where they're trying, again, they always try to do that. We have no evidence that it is. It's like, well, you don't have any evidence that it isn't. Now, in terms of what the possible terrestrial explanations are, I did think it was important for me to raise this. This has actually come from the Washington Post. Washington Post finally got around to actually looking at some of those leaks. One of the things that they talk about, Crystal, is that the Chinese are currently readying a supersonic spy drone unit, which would go, let me see here, 3 times faster than the speed of sound, a high-altitude spy drone, one that has not yet been seen by adversary technology, and clearly, if seen by the naked eye or somebody who's not in the military, would be amazed by, you know, something is going Mach 3 and is a high-altitude drone, not manned, possibly a smaller object. So you could easily conceive of a civilian situation where you would think like, oh, wow, that's something that we hadn't known about. But let's also remember, so many of the videos that we have looked at happened well before. The said drone doesn't even, it supposedly hasn't yet been deployed yet. So it's not like you can explain past incidents. You also have no evidence of Russian technology that comes even close to this. My personal view is, well, they're in the fight, you know, of their lives in Ukraine. So if they had some crazy tech, like, don't you think they would use it?
Yeah, we don't have any evidence that Sudan has teleporting mechas. But with the ongoing conflict right now between the government and the military rebellion, if ever we were going to see teleporting floating mechas from Sudan, it would be now.
They did they used a hypersonic missile for no reason, you know, even though they didn't have an attack, a nuke on it. They have all kinds of stuff, you know, outside of nuclear technology. They basically thrown everything they have at Ukraine. I just presume, like, if you're in a
everything they've thrown at Ukraine is decades behind what we have. Okay. Desperation doesn't automatically jump your tech level. It's not like an anime where your willpower like multiplies your power level. That's what he's saying. He still thinks it's aliens. I think he's being kind of ambiguous with his point here, but okay.
War, which is depleting you supposedly, and you have tens of thousands of people die, that you would reach for something that's not non-nuclear and which isn't you know, a major step forward in terms of technology. You would think. Haven't seen anything like that. Those are really the only 2 countries even possibly capable of creating something like this.
Well, unless it's our own program that they
that's another
spill the tea on.
Look, I mean,
wait, Russia and China are the only 2 countries outside the U.S. capable of creating some UFO stuff? What about what about all of Western Europe? Wait, does he think that China is ahead of like France, Germany, Canada, England, like in general technological development? Okay. Western Europe doesn't engage in military. It's a UFO. We don't know what it is. So it's not a military thing. If we're talking about like upper end technological development, like that could be anything, like any kind of thing that's spooky and flies fast. Russia's decades behind the rest of the, you know, not the rest of behind the developed world. China isn't anywhere near like, well, okay, I don't want to play down China too much. China isn't like fucking Wakanda or whatever. We're on top, and after us in most fashions would be Western European countries. I don't know how to rank them all precisely, but it's not like they don't do tech stuff. They do a lot of it.
that one is a counterfactual where there's just literally no way to know.
Yeah, but that's what they, I mean, it is annoying how they play. This is the same rhetorical game that they played in like the media write-ups of the analysis of these objects to be like, well, there's no evidence. It's extraterrestrial. But then there's also, they can't point to any evidence of what it actually is.
Oh, man.
So you're really not ruling anything out here. It's very unhelpful.
That's why
it's just gaslighting effectively.
The next video is very...
Ooh! What? It's gaslighting to say there's no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. What does that mean? What does that mean? So true, bestie.
Very important, because this is one that was captured over the Middle East from 2022, where you can see clear drone footage of people who are on the ground, and then a metallic spherical object that zooms through the frame and then is actually followed by the camera, of which they have no idea what this thing is. Here, go ahead and watch it for yourself.
You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago.
Are we being fucking real right now? You don't have to know what every single thing you ever see is. I know modernity is cool and we live in the future and all, but it's normal sometimes to like see a thing in a video and not automatically instantly know what it is or it's aliens. Not every phenomena is interesting just because it can't be explained. Sometimes it can't be explained because all you have is like a second of video footage of it, and you'll just never know. Look, oh, here's a VHS recording of a vacation road trip my family took back in '98. Oh, what's this thing that just like moved by the camera really quick? Oh, aliens? No, dumb fuck. It could have been literally anything. We won't ever know because it's a video footage VHS from 1998. You can't just not know what something is for it to be suspicious. There has to be something suspicious about why you don't know what it is. So something that should actually make your brain tingle with possibility isn't just, I don't know what that thing in the sky was. Like, it could have been fucking anything, dumbass, okay? It has to be something like, wow, that was moving in a way that nothing we're aware of should be able to move. There's a compelling mystery.
It is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that.
Yeah.
Just based off of that video.
Uh-huh.
They don't know what it is. They have no clue. They have no explanation. And look,
why would they have an explanation? It's a random drone tracking shot. It could have been anything. It could have been somebody painted a chrome like top on a drone and just zoomed it forward for funsies. It could have been anything. It's like fucking 5 pixels.
You think
That's a crazy one.
You think we don't see consumer drones over Iraq all the time or the Middle East? I covered the Battle of ISIS. ISIS had all kinds of crazy Chinese-made like DJI drones and stuff like that. That they were. We know what a drone looks like. We know what a Chinese drone looks like. We know what a Russian drone.
We've never seen a drone that's this shiny before.
Looks like. We know what consumer.
I don't know what the fuck he means. The Battle of ISIS, by the way.
Drones look like. They could easily rule it out and say we know exactly what that is. They have no idea what the hell is going on here. It fits with the Mosul orb photo that Jeremy Corbell has released. Apparently, this is the second one that hadn't previously been seen. Now, look, is it proof? I don't know.
What?
I mean, it's interesting, and I think the most important thing is we don't.
I really, by the way, like, I want it to be known, this is profoundly retarded, and this is so typical for like the Breaking Points audience, and I just want it to be known. This is why I dislike conspiracism so much. The reason conspiracism is popular here is because it appeals to the mind state of people who like this kind of content. The people here who, it's like, don't let your mind be so open your brain falls out. It's people who think they're open-minded and skeptical because they'll fall for any dumbass bullshit. It's the same kind of people who fell for all the COVID conspiracies. Like, they think that they're, like, wisely challenging the deep state narrative on every issue. They're not sheep who are willing to listen to the mainstream, when in reality they just have no idea what's going on, and they will guzzle down any narrative given to them by people they find trustworthy, as long as they feel like believing in that narrative makes them special and free thinking. Very, very gullible people.
Know what it is. I just wish that they would be more honest. I also thought that Dr. Kirkpatrick, oh, I forgot to tell everyone.
This is the orb he's talking about, by the way. This is what he's referring to. UFO-like orbs spotted flying over Iraq's Mosul. Oh, man, wow. 4 years earlier? I guess there's just one orb flying over Iraq and has been for years, and it's never landed or something. I can't think of any other possible explanation.
AARO is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, you know, Pentagon speak for UFOs. But the thing that annoyed me in his initial talk, he's like, this is not going to be solved by social media. This is not going to be, he's like calling out basically people like us, people like other in the UFO community for building hype around it. It's like, here's the thing, man.
Yeah, reliably so.
We can't trust you to do any rigorous analysis.
Exactly, literally. Both of these two dumb fucks were just like, well, there's no evidence it's not aliens 5 minutes ago, and now they're doing exactly what I said. Well, we don't trust the deep state narrative. We would rather blindly trust whatever stupid speculative bullshit we come up with no evidence, you know.
Not after years of cover-ups, not after years of lies. Really, all we can trust, in my opinion, are the people outside looking at.
Yep, literally, yeah. It's so this isn't even populist brain rot, because conspiracism isn't even necessarily populist. It's just retarded. It's just like an IQ problem. It's just like a brain shape problem. I'm sorry.
This independently. Also, it's not just the people who believe it's aliens. People like, you know, even Mick West and other UFO debunkers, at least they are working in a frame where they're being honest, they're being open, they're trying to put things out there and then taking videos and analyzing them in their own way. Even if I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying, it's at least out here in a public domain, in a public sphere. You know, honestly, if you're a quote-unquote UFO skeptic, nobody's done you more service than people like him who are out there giving you, you know, things that you can say of why you don't believe in the phenomenon. It's not the government that's actually helping you out.
Well, okay.
Yeah, it's true that Pentagon officials don't typically release YouTube videos where they debunk conspiracy theories about blurry pixel orbs that were seen once in drone footage from years ago. It is true, my tax dollars are not currently going towards that, and I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that not being something my tax dollars do.
Okay, so if it's not going to be solved by the like social media UFO community, who? Right. That's the answer. Right. No one, right?
No one, because there's no evidence to examine, because it's a stupid shiny ball in a video. This isn't how science works. The scientific process doesn't mean that you can uncover the details of every phenomena anyone ever catches a glimpse of. You need pretty strong, compelling evidence that can't be falsified before it should be taken seriously enough for the fucking government to start, like, making public talks on UFO alien conspiracy likelihoods. Like, God. It's just God of the gaps with UFOs. Literally, yeah. Like, go do this with anything. Go find some 24/7 live stream of the wilderness, and then, like, when the video, like, when the camera randomly shakes, be like, what shook the camera? Bigfoot? And, like, it could have been anything, but can you prove it wasn't Bigfoot? No. Why isn't the government talking about this? Because that's retarded, bro, and because you're retarded, bro. The fuck do you mean? This is like, but this is how it's always been with these people. What's your favorite interesting UFO case? I don't find any of them interesting. The world is full of stuff that we will never be able to explain because the stuff was temporal. It was a single event. The whole point of, like, science is that there has to be you have to be able to not replace, to repeat a series of conditions to produce different outcomes. You have to experiment. But you can't do that if you're just whining about one fucking video. Yeah, replicability. So I'm not interested. Like, it could be a billion things, and I don't know. And, you know, we found plenty of evidence for the existence of drones with shiny caps. We've never actually found any alien shit. So, like, and every time this happens, it gets debunked by a billion people. Like, go watch Captain Disillusion or something. Every time there's some viral hoax phenomena about UFOs or some alien crap, it's always some, like, huckster who does a CGI render who wants to get famous off of it, or some, like, delusional idiot who captures a grain of sand stuck to their camera lens and thinks they've seen Christ or something, you know? And this happens every single time. The only reason that they're pushing this, by the way, is because it feeds their broader narrative of never trust the state unless the state is Republicans. Never trust the state unless the state is saying culture war bullshit that I'll believe uncritically, and also believe us on everything, you know? Don't ever trust the state on anything procedural or rote, because in a way, this is basically like the ideological equivalent of Republicans' efforts to defund everything in government to the point where it no longer works, thus proving the Republican thesis that government doesn't work, you know? This is like the ideological non-falsifiability. It's You can never trust the government to reveal the truth on these things on which the truth can never be revealed, because there is no truth to reveal. Therefore, doubt the government on everything, even the sensible stuff. This is why they were pushing COVID conspiracism. And listen to us for all of our high IQ takes, like, well, they can't prove it wasn't aliens, and it's gaslighting when they say it wasn't aliens. Really, really high IQ stuff.
They don't like people digging around and doing their own thinking about this, doing their own research.
Yes. Yes, that's right. The Pentagon doesn't like it when people do their own research, because you'll find out the secret and unearth the conspiracy. They.
Research about this. Obviously, they're very aggressive about shutting down any attempts that they possibly can. So, yeah, they want to keep.
When has the Pentagon shut down an attempt to make up some bullshit UFO conspiracy? What are you talking about? This is like literally like borderline JQ posting. Like, yeah, they're trying to silence you. For what? Talking about the tinfoil ball?
Control of whatever this investigation ultimately amounts to.
At the end of the day, we just need more info. And, you know, part of the thing that pisses me off here is he dangles like this one little video of this 2022, from the 2022 report from this Middle East drone. It's like, we already know, based on former public officials, they are sitting on troves of videos, of photos, of evidence, of so many different fascinating and interesting things that they cannot explain. Even, you know, in ones where they have claimed that they could solve it through weather-related incidents. It's like, we can't just take your word for it. You have to prove that. You have to prove exactly how you determined that this was a mirror photo or a...
Hey, Pentagon, provide a rigorous scientific debunking of every piece of video footage ever provided by anyone to ever suggest there was... Hey, and here are 5 billion clips from the Iraq War where people swear that pixel over there is an alien. Provide us with doctoral theses on how they're not, Pentagon. Prove everything that has ever happened ever isn't aliens, or you're secretly hiding the evidence that it is. Fucking retarded. Completely retarded. Why would the government hide the existence of aliens? They don't have an answer to that. They don't. It's just blind conspiracism with no explanation. They have like a million contradictory explanations that don't actually make sense the moment you think about them for like any length of time whatsoever. It does not track at all. And they'll pretend that the fact that they aren't committing to an explanation for why the government would hide evidence about aliens, they pretend that's them being open-minded. They'll be like, hey, listen, I'm not saying I know all the details of this. I just want more info. Like, they'll basically hide behind, like, they don't have a coherent narrative. They'll just, like, hide behind the, well, we just need more info. Well, we just need more info. Like conspiracism bullshit. Yeah. Like the jacking off stuff.
Collage or you know, an optical illusion
Allah?
or something. You can't, like, we cannot just take these people's word for it. So I think in every case we need a lot more transparency. You know, even this, I love how they're like blurring things out in the frame. I'm like, nobody cares. I'm sorry about this. It's not going to do any damage, I think, to national security. So more info, more hearings. Thank you, Senator Gillibrand.
Yeah.
Thank you, people in the community who flagged these videos and some of this testimony for me. I thought it'd be an
People in the community who flagged the... He literally does think that the Pentagon should, like, with every single fucking video that some random jagoff with a tinfoil hat shows up with, should, like, debunk. Yeah. And this is the highest viewed video that they've put out today. Totally agree with the last point. If they're showing us this, imagine what they won't show us. Hope they show up and reveal themselves to all of us. We need to wake up. Actual fucking brain damage. Literal retard troglodytes. They should not be allowed to breed. They should not be allowed to have children. I will enact the most... I will make Stalin look like an anarchist if it means that I can keep the gene pool present in this video's viewership, you all accepted, myself, of course, from being able to have children, okay? Dude literally just said, our highly trained fighter pilots don't know what they're talking about, cannot be trusted. Yes. Random fucking fighter pilots are not trained on identifying alien vehicles. That is true. It's not part of their training. That's amazing footage. It's not an errant birthday party balloon because of its shifting acceleration up and down and flying with too much agency and momentum at a static altitude. Wow. Holy shit. Hope the Pentagon never sees this comment, or this guy's getting blackboxed in no time. This guy is sitting fucking right to Gitmo. My eyes always focus on Crystal with these stories. Dude, oh my god, bro. Crystal was literally playing along with it fully, and they're calling Crystal not woke. Literally, they're saying like she's asleep. That expression is why girls aren't allowed on our imaginary spaceship. It's not like women roll their eyes when they hear people talk about UFOs and stuff. Oh my god! They're literally all loser fucking divorced 45-year-old dads, and they're sick and tired of women not taking their fucking schizophrenia seriously. Holy shit, dog. Oh my god. Holy shit. Hey, with a name like Crystal Ball, maybe she's an alien. Maybe she's here to keep the conspiracy under wraps. I've been following this phenomena for decades when no one around would discuss, way before 2017, and there was no public validation to the reality of this, and it is still dangled but oh so closely through sources. The whole subject blows my mind every time to this day. Having to integrate this into my reality that I live where everyone goes around thinking it isn't happening is challenging. You have mental illness. See a therapist. This isn't a touch grass thing. This is a therapy thing. Some of the military encounters with these objects report movements and directional changes which go against the laws of physics, while a few also reported the objects phase shifted. What the fuck does that mean? Which is in the sci-fi realm of possibility. If any nation out there has this kind of tech, then it truly is game over for the rest. Vaush, bro, prove to me the voices aren't real. Yeah. Hey, this paper that I just read, it says the voices aren't, they can't prove the voices are real. Well, can they prove the voices aren't real? Can the Pentagon please release a paper debunking the voices that tell me to kill? I saw the exact same thing twice. The metallic sphere was broadcast live on NBC for 4 seconds the morning of 9/11. It was hovering near the Hudson River. Okay. I also saw a fleet of at least a half dozen of the spheres along with dozens of other people on a film set in LA in the early 90s. They were in a curious V shape and making a strange quacking noise. It was very surreal. I don't know. It's very depressing to me that people like this exist. It's even worse, they can vote. They can vote. Their votes count for as much as us. It's actually crazy that, like, all of the comments are in agreement with the bullshit UFO conspiracism. Like, that all of them. Like, this isn't even, like, a controversial subject here. Literally, just all of these viewers heard them both say, well, there's no evidence it's not aliens, this is gaslighting, and they're all just fine with it. Yes, I've played Destroy All Humans. Okay, that's enough.